Okay, let's talk about Clearwater, Florida. A lot of you ask me about Clearwater. I have my own opinions in the midst of this. I'll try to tell you when it's my opinion. But let's answer the question, is Clearwater a good place to live? Here we go. I'm Sam, and this is the Living in Tampa channel. We make these videos for you about what it's like to live and move to the whole Tampa area. We're also a team of realtors, and we'd love a chance to earn your real estate business. If you're looking to buy a house, sell a house, do any kind of real estate here in the whole Tampa area, we want to be your choice. Give us a call, text, or email anytime. After you reach out, what we want to do is we want to set up a Zoom call or a phone call, just process your situation and see how we can best help. So I have this idea. I want to make these videos kind of answering this question I get asked a lot, like, is blank a good place to live? And I'm taking the 5 areas that are driving the most search traffic to my channel right now, and we're gonna make those videos. So we're gonna talk about Clearwater, Newport Richey, Dunedin, and a couple others. Those are gonna be the next ones, so we're gonna start with Clearwater. So is Clearwater a good place to live? We're gonna go with yes and no. I wanna explain both of those. We're gonna start with yes. The number one reason that Clearwater, Florida is a good place to live is access. Easy access to a lot of different things. We're gonna spend a little bit of time here talking about what I mean by access. First of all, the reason Clearwater is on most of your lists is because of the beaches. Not just Clearwater Beach, you could go just north of there, go into Honeymoon Island, just south of there, go into Sand Key, Madeira Beach, down all the way down to St. Pete Beach. I'm in a county park and this golf cart is pulling like a commercial leaf blower behind it. Just like cruising around this one area. You got all the leaves off the road already. I don't know what you're doing. There it goes again. Okay, first of all, Clearwater is bigger than you think. So we have access to all kinds of things. Beaches being the number one thing that draws people to the area. It's right in the middle of the beach county, Pinellas County. So it makes sense that you start searching for, is Clearwater a good place to live? Cost of living in Clearwater, all those kind of things make sense because it's a driver of a lot of the interest in the area. So access to beaches. Let's go access to shopping. One of the few malls in the whole county is right there in Clearwater. But not just the mall, all the kind of other things. Now, there is a Whole Foods that happens to be attached to that mall. It's kind of the Whole Foods for the area. But there's all kinds of other kind of shops and all the kind of big stores you would need are in Clearwater, and everybody that lives around there is coming to Clearwater for those. But let's say you want to go nicer shopping. You want to go to the International Plaza in Tampa. It's literally just like a straight shot from Clearwater over there to like the airport area where it is. Okay, now we just talked about the airport. Let's talk about access to the airport as well. There's the Clearwater St. Pete Airport, which it has a massive expansion coming. That's super cool. It's been mostly, small planes and then some of these like regional seasonal carriers like Allegiant that have gone in and out of this airport. Seems like some of those are expanding and then maybe a couple others coming in. Cool expansion. I like that for the area. But also, just like there's easy access to that International Plaza Mall by the airport, there's easy access to the Tampa Airport. If you look here from downtown Clearwater, it's really just a straight shot over to there. And obviously, not that likely you're gonna live in downtown Clearwater. You're gonna live in some of the more residential areas. Okay, so that's airports. But the airports aside, those are in Tampa and then kind of on the edge of Clearwater and St. Pete. You have easy access to St. Petersburg and Tampa, which means you have access to really good food. Those bigger cities just have better food. Clearwater has kind of predictable food, very chain dominant, but those big cities nearby, and then like Dunedin also has really good food. Not as big of a city, but access is what I'm talking about here. So we've gone through beaches, we've gone through shopping, we've gone through airports, we've gone through cities, Tampa and St. Pete. We've gone through good food. Now the final access point I want to talk about is water. A lot of Clearwater is on the water. You have the intercoastal, then you drive over to Clearwater Beach, it's a separate town, but easy access to water all throughout. On the east side of Clearwater, it's not on the water, but there's also easy access to the bay from over there. You're going into a different town to get onto the bay, but it's still easy access. That's what I'm talking about. Not that everything is right there, but it's very accessible. You're very central to 2 different types of water. Whether you want to go to the beach, whether you want to go on a paddleboard, whether you want to rent a boat, whether you want to go, pick up seashells, or whether you just want to sit and see the water as you eat. All kinds of things you can do right there. Okay, another reason Clearwater might be a good place for you to live. That first list was pretty big, and that was all access. There is access to a lot of things right there in Clearwater. And from living near Clearwater but not in there, I realized, oh, we're going into Clearwater for all kinds of stuff, whether that's to go to like a certain store or to go to the pediatrician, or it's also the county seat. So whether we need to go, like, that's where I got my marriage license, or paid a speeding ticket, all those kind of things. I didn't actually get a speeding ticket or pay a speeding ticket, but you could. That's where you go. Okay, another reason Clearwater might be right for you is if you like a dense area. It is dense. Now, it's not like a bunch of condo buildings unless you're over kind of closer to the beach, but there's not a lot of breathing room. If you like that kind of density, you like that kind of potential, almost a city vibe, but not quite a city vibe, Clearwater could be a really great spot for you. Also, with density like this, you do have jobs. A lot of people commute into the Clearwater area to work because it's a more dense, urban, suburban area. And that's something that came up in a recent video, the comparison of urban suburban to sparse suburban. So we're gonna get into suburbs a little bit, but we'll come back to that. So a lot of people do work in that area. It is a job center for the county. That is a factor. Okay, number 3 reason you might love to live in Clearwater is you like old homes. Now, there's houses from the 20s all the way through the 70s. Those are really easy to find in that area. Some are super unique. Keep in mind, with old homes in Florida, were built to old codes. Some of those things have been updated. Definitely electrical has likely been updated, but it might need flood insurance. It might be in a lower area. Some of those quirks. But I like those houses. They're really interesting. A lot of mid-century modern houses throughout the area. When people started to have a bit more money in the 50s and 60s in the area, they started building really interesting homes. I like those houses. Okay, the next reason Clearwater might be a good place for you to live is you like touristy things. Now, I'm not always gonna say tourists are bad or tourist attractions are bad. Like the Clearwater Marine Aquarium is a place we take the kids often. It's like a rescue aquarium. If you saw Dolphin Tale, that movie, I actually watched that movie on an airplane on my way to Ethiopia one time and just cried. Such a good movie. And it was on like the group TV in the middle, so everyone's watching it and everyone's just crying at this movie. Super good. But whether it's the aquarium, it's the cool beaches with all the food around them, or it's, new attractions and amphitheaters and those kind of things, Clearwater is kind of a hub for that. With the outside influence of tourists, you do also get some cool attractions occasionally, some cool events. It's not all bad. You also get a lot of sales tax from all these tourists, which is really why we like them. All right, now for the downsides. Clearwater is not a good place for you to live if you like these things. If you like quiet suburbs, I'm talking about that kind of sparse suburban where you have like these preserves in between. You have, big main roads that are kind of like a mile from your neighborhood, and not like you pull out your neighborhood onto a big road. That's a very different feel. In the Clearwater area, you're not gonna get that feel where you have this like big manicured entrance to your neighborhood and you kind of have this winding path and then you pull into the streets and past the amenity center. You're never gonna have that vibe in Clearwater. Now, there's plenty of nice gated neighborhoods with cool amenities, but they're still kind of in the middle of everything. You're gonna have a bit more of those on the east side of Clearwater, which a lot of us will call countryside. Countryside High School is over there, countryside shopping places. The whole area is kind of known as countryside. So if you like that sparse suburban vibe, you're not gonna like Clearwater. If you like the urban suburban vibe, there's gonna be some spots in Clearwater you really like. Next, if you want just quiet, like I'm in a big county park right now. This is John Chestnut Park. You can see where it is on the map. Technically in Palm Harbor, Clearwater is just kind of right over there. It's a lot more quiet right here even than it is in Clearwater. So that's kind of a unique quirk. Of course, I'm the weird one that wants to like live on a bunch of acres away from everybody and have like, where I can't hear anybody except the bugs and birds. Not everybody wants that. But if you want some kind of version of that you don't have to drive to like escape your area where you live, then Clearwater might not be for you. Okay, next, if you want a small town vibe, Clearwater's not for you. And there's towns right around Clearwater still within this more densely populated area where you can get a small town vibe. Whether that's all the way down south in Gulfport, or it's even in some neighborhoods in St. Pete, you kind of get that vibe, like in Kenwood, or it's up into Safety Harbor, or it's over in Dunedin, or even in Palm Harbor or Tarpon Springs. You're gonna get some of that like small downtown People kind of walk into and from shops. There's trails that go through there. You're gonna get that kind of vibe in these other towns that you're not gonna get in Clearwater. So if you want that small town vibe, Clearwater's probably not your spot. Okay, the final reason that Clearwater is not gonna be a good place for you to live is if you like a lot of open space. Now, I kind of talked about this with the sparse suburban and honestly with the quiet areas, but what I mean by open space, like space in between developments, like that kind of gap between your neighborhood and the main road, where there's kind of a winding road and maybe a little bit of commercial stuff, and it's just a little more spread out, and then there's that big preserve behind. So let me give you an example. Starkey Ranch, really nice neighborhood. It's not gated, has a couple gated sections. It's 1,100 homes off of a main highway that goes across Pasco County. On the north side of it is an 18,000 acre preserve. I think that's how big it is. My editor can fact check me. She'll say whether I'm right or wrong. But it creates a really unique vibe where you have just a lot of open space kind of around you and near you. You're just not gonna get that in Clearwater. You're not gonna get that in the middle of Pinellas County, the most densely populated county in the whole state. You're definitely not gonna get it. But I know a lot of you start your search with what's it like to live in Clearwater. I hope that this gave you some additional insight. If you did get value out of this video, we wanna hear from you. Whether you're thinking about moving right now, you're thinking about moving in 3 years, we wanna connect and see how we can best help and how we can add value to your specific situation. So don't forget to call, text, or email anytime. Thanks for coming by.